and welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're talking about vampire movies.
Yay.
Specifically, Anne Rice vampire movies.
Yeah, obviously I didn't even think about saying that. But quite correct. The only two.
If you're not familiar with Anne Rice, good for you.
She's still banging them out, right? She's still writing.
We watched Interview with a Vampire.
It's actually, sorry to get you all, it's an interview with the vampire.
Is it?
Yeah.
No. I think it's a Mandela effect.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it's called, we watched that and we watched Queen of the Damned.
Yes.
Which are both based off Anne Rice books in her Chronicles of Vampire Chronicles.
I think it's just called the Vampire Chronicles.
Yeah, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And she's still cranking them out. One of her latest books is called Lestat and the something of a legend.
Yeah, I thought she was done with the Vampire Chronicles ages ago.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's she's crazy.
Sure, because I've read the 3 Interview with the Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned, and then I read like the 6th one, not reading any of the in between ones.
Okay, so you didn't read like the Vampire Armand
and stuff
no.
I stopped, and I recommend anybody else stop after those first 3. Don't save yourself.
You read the one where they confront God, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was the devil.
The devil.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry, I meant the devil. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then
because he meets the devil.
And he fights him.
No, he doesn't fight him. Well, he kind of fights him, but not really. But it wasn't good.
Yeah, I believe that. I've only read her erotic trilogy about Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
Which I think when people who haven't had any exposure to 50 Shades of Grey, they think that's what 50 Shades of Grey is going to be like.
Right.
But 50 Shades of Grey is very vanilla compared to that trilogy.
Right.
That trilogy is... She's obviously done some research. I'll just say that. Because every possible kink imaginable is mentioned in those 3 books.
Well, she lives in New Orleans, right? So
she wrote Interview with a Vampire in San Francisco, though. Because I've been to the house that she wrote it in, which looks like a house that belongs in New Orleans.
Well, maybe she moved there because in some of the behind the scenes footage, which was from the 90s, like she talks about how she was.
But she wrote the first book. She wrote Interview in 1975, right?
76.
76. Okay.
Yeah.
In San Francisco.
Yeah, far before it ever got made into a movie.
Yeah.
So which is crazy because the movie came out in 94, and apparently they tried to make it in production. They optioned the book before it was even published.
Holy.
So they were trying to make this movie for like 2 decades.
Wow.
Yeah, before it ever became the 1994 movie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't she one of those authors that is very protective of her intellectual property? I
can see that now.
Okay.
After her experience.
Like she wasn't happy with Interview, right?
No, she was really happy with Interview with the Vampire.
Okay.
Queen of the Damned, she was definitely not happy with.
Well, no one was happy with Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for me when I was 16.
Yeah, well, and she very famously wasn't happy with some of the casting choices, but then...
That's what I heard.
Yeah, she didn't like Tom Cruise, but then after she saw the movie, she very famously apologized to Tom Cruise and even took out her own 2-page ad and I can't remember, like a newspaper or whatever, like praising the movie and everything. So she was very pleased with the result there.
Okay.
Yeah, from Interview with the Vampire.
Cool. Should we start with that one? And
sure.
Then go into Queen of the Damned?
No, let's go in chronological order here.
Yeah, chronological, alphabetical.
Yeah. So Interview with the Vampire from 1994, like we mentioned, a classic story.
1994.
Yeah.
You said 84.
I thought I said 94, sorry.
I heard 84.
Well, I'll cut it out.
Make me look crazy?
Yeah.
It'll just be like from 1994. Record it over later.
Yes.
Oh my God.
No.
Dan!
Stars Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Antonio Banderas, Kirsten Dunst, and Kristen Slater is the main cast.
Oh yeah.
Thandie Newton, of course famously from Westworld now, she's in it. Because when I was on the rewatch, I was like, is that Thandie Newton? And then I had to look it up. She's the servant in his plantation that he kills.
Way.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Huh, crazy.
Yeah, and then it's Christian Slater is like an author, and he interviews people for a living, and then he interviews Brad Pitt, and it's him telling his life as a vampire.
As Louis.
As Louis from New Orleans.
Yeah.
And his life and his basically the interesting aspect of this story, and this has been explored now in other media, but again this was at the time different, is that he's a vampire, has to kill people, doesn't want to kill people.
Doesn't want to kill people.
Yeah.
It was also kind of the first sexy vampires, wasn't it? I feel like there wasn't a lot of sexy vamp representation up to that point, because
Sure.
Dracula's kind of sexy, but like he's also kind of a monster.
Yeah, Gary Oldman has a definitely a look to it.
Yeah, that was
That was 92.
Okay, so that did come out
Just before.
God, Gary Oldman was so sexy in that movie.
Yeah, so like, but he had the monstrous
Yes.
scenes, like you said, as well.
That movie was a train wreck.
Yes.
Just on a side note.
No. I was going to talk about it later.
Bram Stoker's Dracula as a train wreck.
I was going to bring it up later because it's an amazingly awesome train wreck.
Yeah, it's a train wreck worth watching.
Yeah.
I guess. It's almost, not to get into it too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like Dracula Dead and Love Again, which is a Mel Brooks movie that was like a parody, was a better movie.
It was probably better constructed.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah. And
when did you first watch it?
I definitely didn't see it in theater. It was a rental.
Yeah, it was a rental for me too.
Yeah, family night rental. We watched this movie about a vampire. And it's so tame considering it's a rated R movie, really. But I guess because
rated R.
It was rated R back in the time, and
there's some tits in it.
There's some nudity, there's some blood, but it's not like anything compared to today. It's like so tame.
Homoeroticism.
There's some homoeroticism, And
Tony was watching it. He's like, "Why are all the vampires gay?" Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And then so Louis, his wife and child are dead, which is different from the book, but I think it's a better change. In the book, it's his brother who's dead, and so his wife and his kid's dead, and he's just like, he's a plantation owner and doesn't care, he just wants to lose it all. Tom Cruise sees him, turns him into a vampire, because he's all like, we'll have a great life, and etc., and live forever. And
we'll be the bestest friends.
Bestest friends. And then, of course, Tom Cruise is the not typical, but he revels in his vampirism.
Yeah.
And Louis, again, is at odds with that. And then there's some conflict there and etc. And the story continues. And then eventually they introduce Kirsten Dunst. Because Louis the whole time is like...
That's her first movie, correct?
It's not her first movie.
Oh.
But I don't know what she did before that to be recognizable, because the director didn't want to cast a non-child actor.
Right.
He was saying that in all his other movies, he likes to cast non-child actors because he's like, you get a different performance and it's usually more genuine. And he was like, for this role, because it was pretty intense, he's like, I wanted a child actor who understood acting.
Yeah,
who understood acting. So, and I have it in my notes, a ton of women or girls at the time. Christina Ricci, Dominic Swain, Julia Stiles, Erin Moore, Natalie Portman, and Evan Rachel Wood all auditioned for Claudia.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And then
Christina Ricci's the only one that I could see.
I could see maybe Portman as well.
Oh yeah, because she was in that other movie that...
Professional? Yeah. Leon the Professional, sorry.
Where it was like a child playing a very adult role.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and they introduce her, Louis. He's in a dark place and he just doesn't
He's eating rats.
And then there was some good dialogue about how he's merciful death, essentially, because he goes to a plague-ridden area, he finds a mom and a child, the mom's dead, and then he bites the child, and then Tom Cruise just shows up, which I love.
On a side note, when Tom Cruise dances with that corpse, is probably the best part of the whole movie.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he's mocking Louis for what he's done.
He's just being a total asshole.
Yeah. It's pretty great. And then, so they create this vampire family, essentially.
Yeah, where mommy Tom Cruise, daddy Brad Pitt, and baby Kirsten Dunst.
Well, and then the relationships develop in that, because Kirsten Dunst is basically like Tom Cruise. She revels in her because she's just a small child, revels in her vampirism. They eat families together. And Louis is just like, oh man.
But she's a stronger emotional connection to Louis.
Yes.
Because she sleeps in his coffin every night.
True that.
Yeah.
And then the story develops because she'll never grow, but she mentally grows. Mm-hmm. She lives for 50, 60 years.
I think it's at 30.
Yeah.
30 years had passed when she has her episode.
Where she freaks out about basically being a child vampire.
Cuts her hair and then it all grows back.
Yeah, which is great. A great scene.
Yeah.
So she's like, we gotta get back at Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
She's like, Louis, you and I will have a better life without him.
So they kill him.
Yeah.
Twice. Then they dump his body in the swamp.
The first time.
Yes. Second time they burn him.
Set him on fire.
Yeah. He wasn't very happy about it.
No.
And then they run off to France or something.
Well, Europe. They go to the old world.
Vampires.
Yeah. And then they find nothing, according to Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually in Paris, they run into the Théâtre de Vampire.
Yeah, so I didn't catch the name of the vampire that dances on the ceiling.
His name is Santiago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a tool.
Yeah, he's like the theater comedy of back then, which is basically being like a tool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when she wrote the Theater of Vampire scenes, I was watching interviews with her, she just wrote it. But apparently there was a Paris theater scene which started with a G, I can't remember the name, but it was basically like horror shows, or it would show off like the latest surgery, and it would be live on stage, and people would go watch it.
Ew.
Yeah, so it was basically like,
It smells so bad.
Yeah, we had some weird views on medicine back in the day.
True.
Yeah.
True.
So it was like, but there was these kind of shows, and then so it was an actual thing, and then so of course when they were filming the movie, they constructed the theater, along those lines, where people would go watch horror shows, essentially, like modern day horror movies, but it'd be like live, and
that's not cool. Whatever.
Paris and Europe, they do weird stuff once in a while.
They were bored. And Antonio Banderas gets a man crush on Brad Pitt.
Yeah, he wants...
Is he, like, in the book, is he in love with Louis, or is it...
No, it's pretty much as described, where Armand, similarly to... But Armand wants Brad Pitt to, like, show him the new ways of the new age.
Right.
And because he's like, Armand is old, very old.
Mm-hmm.
Like he says in the book, or in the movie, he's like, I've been around for 400 years or whatever. But he's described more as like almost like a cherub figure.
Oh.
Not as Antonio Banderas. And he's described as being younger.
I don't think anybody would describe Antonio Banderas as a cherub.
No.
But I do want to say on a side note that every single man in this movie, especially the vampires, look like they could go on any cover of any romance novel ever.
Sure. Yeah, and so he wants him, to just like quicken him and give him new life in the new age, as it were, because he's old, and they talk about that once in a while, how eternity gets boring.
Eternity.
Yeah.
It's no fun.
But because of Claudia's plot, they're all like...
Oh, yeah, because they realized that... Did they tell him straight up that they killed Lestat? I don't remember.
No, they like, they think about it. Yeah. And then the one guy is like, oh, you thought of a name, like, how do you know Lestat, or whatever? Yeah. And then I guess they glean that Claudia murdered him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt and Antonio Banderas are kind of becoming friends.
Yes.
Claudia gets jealous. Very. So she makes a lady friend for him. Or tries to, but she's too...
For herself.
Oh, for herself, right, yeah.
Because she's like, you're going to separate and go with Armand, at least let me have this lady.
Right.
Because she's young and she's a child still, right? Like people, she can't go to rated R movies.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that, I think, is the saddest part of the whole movie, is this woman has lost her child.
At some point, yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm going to get a new child and I'm going to be able to take care of her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to
live forever.
And live forever. And then like 20 minutes later, she dies. But the creepiest part of the movie is when Louis and Claudia almost have a romantic kiss.
Well, they do. She does kiss him.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Maybe I blinked.
Maybe.
It's weird, though.
Yeah.
I know that she's like 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever.
Yeah, she's old.
It's still creepy, though.
Sure.
It's like the anime, like, lolly thing where they're like, I look like I'm 12, but I'm actually a 400-year-old wizard. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's so weird.
Well, and of course, a young person done, she was like, oh, I thought it was gross.
Nice. Yeah. I wonder what she thinks now.
Well, I'm sure she's cool with it now.
Yeah. She's like, oh, yeah, I do kiss gross Brad Pitt once.
Yeah, but she was 12 when she made that movie. So, yeah. But yeah, and then like Devin was saying, vampires from the theater bust in because their only crime is killing your own kind. And so they capture Claudia and Louis and the other lady. Lady and Claudia are sentenced to death.
They burn him by sunlight.
Yeah, they put him in a pit, and then Louis, they're just like, yeah, you're gonna chill in a coffin.
Tony was like, why can't they just fly out? I'm like, because different vampires have different gifts. And he's like, oh, that's stupid. How convenient.
I was also, because like they show it from like the one shot, and then how it's like brick. Yeah. And I was like, you're strong. Like, you could probably climb that. Like,
yeah.
Because there's, like, handholds and stuff like that. And there's some weird blood going on, too. So I'm like, okay, it's a weird pit. But I'm pretty sure they could make it to the top.
It's a weird pit.
It's a weird pit. There's some weird Parisian pit going on here.
If we didn't give our episodes obvious names, then we should call this one It's a Weird Pit. Yeah, no, because I was like, you could probably climb to the top and then maybe try to get out or something, but they're just like, and then they get burned by the sun. And Brad Pitt gets buried alive in a coffin, and then Armand saves him, and then he's mad.
Yes.
And then he kills everybody.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Goes on a vengeance spree and just
he literally
kills them all.
It's so clever because he lights all their coffins on fire.
Yeah.
And then when they come out, he chops off their head with a scythe.
Yes. It's great, yeah.
It's a great scene.
Well, and it's not awkwardly executed, but it's like, it's daytime.
It's almost daytime.
No,
it's like dawn.
Yeah, because when Brad Pitt busts out, he's like, oh, the sun's there, but it's like cloudy and stuff like that.
Oh,
right?
I see.
So it's also daytime is like kind of...
Because it looks like night when he's
first in there.
When he first goes in.
So yeah, maybe
I just figured it was like dawn, like an hour before dawn or something, and they were all being cautious and got in their coffins early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he murders them all.
Well, they're underground.
Yeah. So
it's not just daytime.
Yeah, that's one of the things that is, because it's like, they go in the coffins, or he talks about it, he's like, oh, coffins are a necessity or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Claudia, like, wakes up during the day to go into his coffin, avoiding the light, and I was like, so is it a thing, like, they're still awake during the day?
Yeah, did they just... Okay, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I was just like, okay, whatever, sounds good.
Yeah.
move along.
Whatever, Anne Rice.
Yeah. And he gets rescued by Armand.
Yeah, and then he says, fuck you to Armand.
Basically, because he's like, hey, you killed my daughter.
Yeah. So. Then he goes back to America and learns to watch movies.
Well, he lives his life, basically. He's just like, I'm just chilling.
Sees Lestat again.
Yeah, he has another run-in with Lestat.
He's looking old.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because it's taking him... Okay, here's one thing I don't understand.
Okay.
So I get he almost died the first time. And then
almost died the second time.
Looks really corpsey.
Yes.
Almost dies the second time.
Yeah.
But like, a significant number of years had passed since that incident. Yeah. To like, let's say 100 years had passed.
Well, here's the thing that it's like, the only thing that can kill them according to the book lore is sunlight. So just them catching fire doesn't actually kill them.
Okay.
So you gotta imagine, he got somewhere and then it just took a super long... This is how I'm rationalizing it.
Okay.
It took him a super long time to regenerate enough to even... So then he could even start, like, eating animals again.
Okay.
Get all corpsey. Kind of... That's how I kind of rationalize it.
So it took him 100 years to get corpsey.
Sure, like, say he got burned to, like, a skeleton. Right, and then he's got to like regrow all his skin and everything.
Okay,
again, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because even I was every time I watch this movie, I'm like, wouldn't he be a little better by now?
Yeah.
But
then he's like looking, because plot twist at the end, he goes and makes out with Kristen Slater.
Well, before that, Kristen Slater's like tells Brad Pitt, he's like, give me vampirism.
But anyways, he drinks Christian Slater's blood and he instantly regenerates.
Yeah, no, it's...
So he like couldn't find a person? He couldn't find like a pastor
a rando.
hobo?
Yeah, just a rando. Yeah, I totally agree as well. It's also, it could be potentially... They kind of touch a bit on it in the Queen of the Damned / the Vampire, like that he was like intentionally sleeping. Because he was I don't have anything to like live for in the world right now.
When Queen of the Damned starts, he's like, I've been sleeping a long time. They're like, by my calculation, it's been less than 10 years.
Yeah. So maybe, again, he was asleep the whole time when they were in Europe, like in a coffin, and then only recently had started to wake up again, right? So,
okay.
Because, again, it was like, dude. So that's how I kind of rationalize it.
Okay, accepted.
Yeah. Okay. And then, like Devin said, the interview ends, and then Christian Slater's like, no, there's gotta be more. And he's like, no, that's it, man. I'm just a vampire just living my life.
And he's like, no, you're gonna turn me into a vampire. And he's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
he runs out into his car.
Yeah.
And then, for whatever reason,
Lestat's there.
Lestat's in the backseat.
Yeah.
He takes over driving the car, but he wouldn't know how to drive a car, but whatever, that's fine. Magic.
You watched him do it.
Vampire.
Yeah, you watched him do it. It's
Vampire.
easy. Yeah.
It's fine. Yeah.
And then it ends.
And then it ends. What did you think of the movie?
Well, it's funny because when I first was, I have it on DVD, but I had a digital copy and I wanted to make sure it worked. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. This movie is pretty old, but it still held up in my opinion. I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The story, like I said, we've seen more of this already now, so it was kind of like, it was like, eh. But at the time, it was new, it was cool. Yeah, and I don't know, I still like the performances, I still like the makeup, I still like the effects, which I will talk about. So I liked it still.
Cool. I remember watching it the first time and really liking it.
Yeah.
This time I watched it, I didn't like it as much.
Right.
And it was the makeup and effects that did it for me.
Really?
It took me up. I just felt like the teeth that they fitted Tom Cruise with specifically looked like he was wearing like a fucking 99-cent store pair of fangs over his teeth.
Right.
And it looked so bad. And it might just be because like now there's really good fangs that you can buy for like at the store we saw fangs for like $35 that look better
for like 30 something bucks,
than what was in the movie, right? And then I also felt like Brad Pitt's contacts looked really stupid.
Sorry, maybe I was focusing more on just like the facial makeup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was cool.
When they're like pale and kind of veiny?
Yeah, because you know how they did that? They had to hang upside down until their face veins started showing.
And then they painted over?
Yeah, like that's their actual face veins.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they had to spend like 3 hours in makeup to get it done.
The teeth are awful though.
Yeah, like, well, and plus old vampire teeth, like them having to talk around it.
Yeah. You know how filmmaking go through styles and different...
Sure.
It did, like, overall it felt dated, just like the way things were filmed and the soundtrack. It's like, because they use like, they smear this lens with Vaseline or something in some scenes where they do that blurred.
No, it's interesting because the guy who made it, Neil Jordan, he made The Crying Game before he made this movie.
I've never seen that.
Me neither, but it's like, it's a dramatic thing, right?
Oh, okay.
And then this film, about vampires, it's like, it's just neat because there's a lot of special effects in there and stuff like that. I don't know, going back to the makeup, I was going to say, I think the one that looks the best, though, is Kirsten Dunst. Because they're like, she's supposed to be all doll-like, and she looks very doll-like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so.
But, like, I don't know, like, when when Lestat is biting Louis for the first time, and they're kind of flying through the air, that looks so cheesy. I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it as much this time.
Right.
I also felt like the costumes didn't look as good as I remember either. Like, they all kind of looked...
Yeah, but you work in a place that makes better costumes, makes better clothing than that now.
Yeah, so I'm very... Although I do love... What's the name of the girl that Kirsten Dunst wanted as her companion?
I don't know.
Madeline or something?
Yeah.
Her green dress is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it as much.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, but maybe because in preparation for this, I rewatched it with the director's commentary on because I've never watched it with the director's commentary.
Yeah,
so,
that probably skewed it for you.
It maybe skewed it a bit, but then I was also like, I remember the movie, and he turned down his own commentary at some point, so I could hear like big lines about stuff, right? So, but
it's easier to appreciate a movie when you learn about what goes into it.
I guess, yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. There was a lot of things like it was interesting. Because it was around the time of Jurassic Park, and it talks about they did do a lot of digital effects, but it was all like it was like digital effects are now, where it was meant to be invisible.
Gotcha.
You weren't supposed to know it was a digital effect, right? And like there's a lot of them now, of course, like CGI Hulk or whatever. But there's a lot of things that you don't know are digital, right? Like, and that's the point is you're not supposed to know. It's just supposed to be a movie,
right?
And so they did a lot of that in the movie, and then there was still a lot of cool practical stuff where again they brought in Stan Winston, who's this practical effects wizard, and like the whole scene where, of course, when the Lestat's bleeding out, that's all robot. That was created by Stan Winston.
Oh, here's the other thing that I have a problem with. The blood looks really stupid.
Which part? Which blood part?
Whenever they're like bleeding somebody's wrist or something, and it's just like a faucet that they've turned on. It's just like...
Yeah. they gotta. You can't be slow with it. It's a movie. They gotta pay.
Like, I get that,
Yeah.
but also, not buying it. Sorry.
That's fair. Yeah, and the scene when the stat's on fire, you know.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it's funny because the director was talking about it. They built a lot. They built a lot of sets in the movie.
They had a lot of fires in the movie.
And then he said because every set they built, they burned. He was like, yeah, we built this whole dock, and then we had to burn it. And then he's like, and we built this like the interior of Louis' estate, and then then we burned it.
Then we burned
the theater, they built all that, and then they burned it. He's like, we pretty much burned every set we built.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I don't know. It's interesting that in the time span you've had a more turned off reaction to the movie. But would you still recommend people watch it? Who hasn't, like, if someone hasn't been like, oh, I've never seen Interview with the Vampire, would you be like, oh, you should watch it?
I think there are better vampire movies. If somebody came up to me and they're like, I've never seen a movie with a vampire in it, I'd be like, go watch What We Do in the Shadows.
Sure.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
No, I think there's... When did this come out? 30 years ago almost?
Yeah, 94.
Yeah. So like 25 years ago, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, vampire movies have come a long way.
Well, all movies have come a long way.
All movies.
Watching it, like you say, is difficult just because of the aspect ratio and the resolution. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, totally, right?
Yeah.
So movies have come a long way. The way we view villains in movies have come a long way.
Sure.
Like how plot is structured has changed quite a bit, right? Like, I mean, if you go and watch like Rebecca from 1940, which is like a black and white Alfred Hitchcock movie that was based off a book.
Right.
You're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, this movie is like 4 hours long and I'm so fucking bored. But that was the style at the time, and movies have like, when you do horror now, it's like different than when you did horror then, right?
Sure.
So I kind of feel like there are more interesting and better vampire movies to watch. So I wouldn't necessarily deter someone from watching it if they were like, I'm gonna watch Interview with the Vampire. I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
You do you. But if they were like, what's the best vampire movie ever made, that wouldn't be in my top
Wouldn't be your
3.
top. That's fair. I was gonna say.
How about you?
Would I recommend someone watching this movie? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I still really enjoyed it. Like I said, but it's like, yeah, it's dated, but it didn't hurt the movie when I watched it again. I was like, oh, you know, it's still a good watch. It's a good story. It beginning, middle, and end, and then, you know, that's not all weird.
Unlike Queen of the Dead.
Yeah, it makes sense. But I did want to mention, just speaking of the performances, because I actually really do like Tom Cruise's performance as Lestat. Because again, he like enjoys himself and he like taunts Brad Pitt a lot all the time, and it's weird for Tom Cruise, even as a weird individual. But famously,
I don't mind him, but I don't love him.
No, that's fair. No, I was gonna say, okay, so Johnny Depp was offered the role.
Oh.
Anne Rice met with Tom Hanks after Philadelphia.
Wait.
Yeah, Tom Hanks as Lestat, right?
No.
Jeremy Irons turned down the part.
Oh.
And then
Jeremy Irons would have been interesting.
Daniel Day-Lewis was given the part and dropped out before they started filming.
Oh, isn't Daniel Day-Lewis crazy though?
Yeah.
Doesn't he like live his part?
Yeah, so could you imagine him as crazy Lestat?
Oh my god, he would have murdered someone.
Yeah. So it was just crazy that it was like, and that's, again, even when Anne Rice was writing it, she was picturing more of like a Rutger Hauer type person.
Who's that?
He was the bad guy in Blade Runner.
I didn't see Blade.
Well, anyway, he's not like Tom Cruise.
He's like a butch.
Yeah, he's a big tall guy.
Oh, okay.
He's like a big Dutch guy and muscled and
nice.
everything. Yeah, no. So again, she was famously not happy with the cast. She didn't think he could do it. And
and he did it.
Yeah, she was she proved she was wrong.
See, my problem with Tom Cruise's Lestat.
Yeah.
You know when you're watching a movie and you're like, oh, that's that character? I always feel like, and I don't know if it's just because he's a bigger actor, but I always feel like, oh, look, it's Tom Cruise being a vampire.
Right.
So, I don't know if it's just too much Tom Cruise shining through.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird because...
I feel the same about Brad Pitt, too. I feel like both of those other actors could have played them and it wouldn't change the movie that much.
Right. I know for me, I didn't like him as Lestat the first couple times I saw the movie. But then it's like it grew on me that I was like, oh, no, you know, there's more going on here. Brad Pitt apparently he wanted to actually out at a certain point. He was having a terrible time in the filming because they were doing it all at night, of course, and the makeup was intense, like 3 hours of makeup every day. And his character is so like depressed in tower, right, and everything. And it was like he tried to get out.
He's a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, he tried to get out apparently, and there was like because of contracts, it would have cost too much or whatever. So he did the movie. He'd already finished the movie.
All right.
Hilarious. Well, and I guess one more note before I assume move on.
Yeah.
Down, but we'll just box office numbers real quick. It was kind of interesting. The budget was approximately $60 million, and cumulative worldwide gross was $223.6 million.
223.
223.
Yeah. Oh, that's when they made their money.
Oh yeah, they definitely made their money and more, especially for 1994. Right?
Yeah.
That's some good numbers.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So, and there's anything else you want to say about Interview with the Vampire?
All of the, like I said, all of the actors could have been replaced with a different actor, and it wouldn't have made that big difference to me. I
just feel like
Christina Ricci would have been a better choice for Claudia.
Maybe, I don't know. Kristen Dunst, of course, was famously
nominated. No, she was great, yeah.
For an Oscar for it.
Yeah.
So, I was just going to say, it just, again, maybe this is because of the times, and it's not a horror movie, right? Like.
Yeah, maybe that's.
It's a vampire movie, but it's not like horror.
Yeah. No, it's like a monster movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But from the point of view of the monster.
Right. Yeah.
Anywho.
And then that leads to 2002.
Which is...
So, before you start talking about Queen of the Damned,
there's only one thing to talk about.
They famously... This was their last year that they owned the rights to the Vampire Chronicles, the first 3 books.
Oh, I see.
And then they were going to transfer back to Anne Rice. And so she could have done something with them afterwards, like sold them again or whatever. So they had to cobble the movie together.
They whipped this out really fast.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this movie stars my boyfriend, Stuart Townsend. That's all that matters in this movie.
But there's other people.
No, but listen to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Stuart Townsend.
Yes.
The only 2 movies I can think of that he was in was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where he played Dorian Gray, and he was so hot.
He was excellent.
And he wasn't excellent.
No, he was excellent as Dorian Gray.
No, he's just so hot in that movie.
Okay.
And Queen of the Damned, where he plays the stat, and he is so hot. In his leather pants and no shirt, and long hair, and like eyeliner, and I don't even care what happens in the movie, which is good because it's a terrible, terrible movie. That's all you need to know.
Well,
watch it on mute.
Rounding out the cast, you've got, of course, Aaliyah.
Aaliyah,
who famously, unfortunately, died after making the movie, and
I looked up some cosplay of her, of like Queen of the Damned, or whatever her name is.
Akashka. Oh no, it's Akasha. So.
Akasha.
Yeah.
There's some amazing cosplay.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Marguerite Moreau, who plays Jessie, our librarian.
I couldn't figure out where I knew her from. And it's because she's in Hot Wet American Summer. Which is a completely different role for her. And I think she's like a comedic actress.
Oh, really?
Doing a dramatic role. And you kind of get that impression.
Yeah, maybe.
But not in a like Jim Carrey doing a serious role kind of way, but more of a like, I don't know.
Just whatever.
I don't know what I'm doing in this movie. Nobody knows what I'm doing in this movie.
No. You got Vincent Perez, who played Marius.
Don't know who that is.
That was Lestat's maker.
No, I don't know who Vincent Perez is.
Okay, sorry. And then Paul McGann was David Talbot, the other library guy that we know.
Who is basically like a discount Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Essentially, yeah. And then you got Lena Olin, who played Maharet, which was the aunt.
Who I have a weird crush on. I think she's really hot.
Yeah?
Yeah, I know she's older, but...
Yeah.
In every movie I see her, and I'm like, she's just so beautiful.
Well, break it down for us, Devin.
This movie made no sense. The stat's been sleeping for a long time. He wakes up, he joins a rock band.
Yeah.
Where they're gonna
He's the lead front man of a rock band.
Where they're gonna do one show, and one show only. And he tells everybody he's a vampire. And he's like, other vampires, come to my rock show so we can hang out. Well, that's happening. Jessie... sees him on TV, hears some lyrics, and is like, you know what? I'm part of a secret society.
Apparently she's like an apprentice or something.
I'm an apprentice at a secret society.
Yeah.
I know that these lyrics mean that he's really a vampire. So she goes and she's like, they're gonna really vamp it up. and her colleagues are like, that's dumb. Here's some journals from Lestat. Then we get a flashback of how Lestat was made by Marius. And then he also finds the Queen of the Damned statue, which comes alive when he starts playing the violin for whatever reason.
Yeah.
She lets him drink his blood. And then Marius gets mad, chains him to a bed, and leaves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay?
Things happen.
So then Jesse's like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to all these other people who are better at their job than I am. I'm going to go to this vampire club. She gets there. The vampires are like, where's your vampire? And she's like, it's, what's his name?
Marius.
Marius is my man. And they're like, no, he's not. We're going to eat you. And then Lestat's like, hey, you know Marius? And she's like, oh my god, you're Lestat. I love you so much. I've read all your journals. I know that you have a violin.
Yeah.
It was a violin of a dead girl. I know you have a dead girl's violin. And he's like, you're kind of a cunt. And he flies away. So then, what happens next? Jesse goes to America.
Lestat goes to America to prepare for the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lestat goes to America. Jesse goes to America.
Yeah.
Lestat sometimes gets hoes from the lineup.
Yeah.
Jessie plants herself as one of these.
Before that, Marius comes back.
Oh, does Marius? Yeah, okay, sorry.
Lestat, yeah.
Marius comes back. He's like, don't do the show. He's like, I'm going to do the show.
Yeah.
And then they sit in front of Lestat's crotch.
Yes.
And then they fly away.
Yeah.
So then Jessie shows up and she's like, I'm a groupie. And he's like, you're a groupie, you're Jessie. And she's like, yeah, I want to be with you.
Yeah.
I'm in love with you. I've known you for 5 seconds.
She did read his journal.
She read his journal. You're right. And he's like, great, let's go for a flight. So then they fly through the air.
Yeah.
And then she's like, make me a vampire. And she cuts her boob. And he's like, no, I cannot.
Basically.
And then she's like, why not? And he's like, let me show you. And then he eats a person. And then she's like, oh, that's gross.
Yeah, that sounds hilarious. Because it's like, you know he's a vampire, right?
So I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, basically.
So then she still goes to the show.
Yeah. Before that, though, there is a scene where Akasha is awake.
Oh, right.
Because that's what Marius tells Lestat Akasha is awoken, killed her king, and then she goes to a nightclub, previous nightclub.
She goes to the same nightclub, and she rips the guy's heart out and eats it, and then she makes everybody on fire with her mind.
Yes, catches everybody else on fire with her mind.
Yeah. Okay, so then Jessie goes to the rock show. The rock show's happening. She notices there are other vampires. They look pretty mad.
Standing there, yeah.
That's the best scene.
Yeah.
This whole movie could have been an Evanescence video.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're standing there. People are like, they have stupid dollar store
knives. The dagger part, I'm like, why are you using knives?
No. I mean, the crowd has like dollar store Halloween props that they're waving in the air.
Yeah, that's
for some reason.
That's pretty hilarious.
At Vampire Coachella.
Yeah.
So then all the vampires attack. Lestat fights him. Marius helps him.
Yeah.
Then Akasha shows up and burns all the bad vampires that were trying to hurt him and flies away with Lestat. And Jesse's like, nuts! And then this other old man vampire takes her somewhere.
Yeah, it turns out Maharet is her aunt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maharet is an old vampire lady.
Yes.
And anyways, we'll get to that in a second.
Yes, we'll get to that.
So first we get the weirdest I don't know what to call it, filler of
scene.
Lestat and Akasha. Fucking
vamping up, apparently.
And having baths in rose petals.
Yeah.
And eating each other and other people.
And people.
And then when we cap, he's like, I can see the sunlight. And she's like, yeah, because you drank some of my blood.
Yeah, she can
You
survive.
fucking drank her blood way back in the day when you first became a vampire, but this is the first time that you can stand in the light?
Well, it's assumed more of it he drank.
Okay,
right?
so he only had like half a shot, now he's had a full shot.
Now he's had like a lot of her blood.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then he wakes up and he's like, oh my god, there's all these dead people. And she's like, yeah, that's what we do. We're vampires.
Yeah.
You idiot.
Yeah, but she's talking about slaughter on a greater scale.
Yeah.
That's what Marius was trying to warn her about. He was like, when she ruled Egypt with her king, they just murdered people indiscriminately constantly.
Yeah. And he was like, I don't want this. And she's like, yeah, you do. And he's like, okay. So then we cut to Jesse at the old vampire squad.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey...
There's some exposition.
Yeah, they're like, guess what? We've been taking care of your family forever. This is your family tree.
Yeah.
Hey. And then they're like, and by the way, we know how to kill Akesha when she's letting someone feed.
I'm sorry, Akesha. It's Akasha.
Akesha.
There's more than one Kesha attacking. Sorry.
When she lets people feed, she's vulnerable. So if you just drink all her blood, you'll be fine.
Yes.
And they're like, oh wow, that's convenient.
But they're like, the person who drinks the last drop
is gonna die.
Is gonna die.
Yeah. And they're like, oh no, who's gonna do it? I don't know, maybe me, maybe you. Whatever.
Yeah.
So then she shows up on time.
Yeah.
Right after they finish.
With Lestat.
Yeah, with Lestat. Right after they finish discussing it.
Yeah.
And then Lestat, she's like, Lestat, show me you love me. Eat Jesse.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. So he's like, okay. And then she's like, okay. So he goes and drinks her blood. And I guess drinking her blood let him know what the plan was, because that's how they communicate through blood.
Yeah, theoretically. Or he was just down with the plan when the plan started.
Because he knew what her name was earlier when he licked her thumb.
Yes.
So that's what I think
That's
happened.
true. They do talk about that a little bit. Marius mentions some in the journals flashback that he's like, oh, you know, we drink their experiences and etc.
Yeah.
Right? Like so.
So Jesse's like, I volunteer as pawn sacrifice.
Yeah.
He's like, cool, now I know what the plan is. And then he's like, okay, I killed her, so can I have your blood now? And she's like, yeah. So then he starts draining her blood, and she says stop, and he keeps going. And then all of them... That's what happened.
Yeah, no.
Then all the vampires jump on
Attack.
her.
Yeah.
And then some of them end up getting burnt, but the more they drink, the less powerful she becomes.
Yeah.
And then Lestat's gonna drink the last drop, and then Auntie whatever.
Yeah.
Marakesh?
Marahat. Yeah.
Is like, no, let me do it. And then she does it.
Yeah.
And then she turns into a statue, and Akesha
Yeah.
Turns into black, and then dust, and then a skeleton, and then more dust.
And then more dust. Oh, I forgot to bring that up in the dust scene in Interview with the Vampire when Claudia and the lady die.
Yeah.
That was like a practical thing that they built. That crumbled apart, and everything.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was like a practical thing that they built, and they wanted to look like ash out of a log that had been burned and everything, and then it was like designed to fall apart in a specific pattern.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
props to whoever did that.
Stan Winston and crew, like I was saying.
Very nice.
But yes, so Akesha dies via CG though, because they didn't want to spend money to build a nice
CG Akesha dies.
Yeah.
And then Jesse and Lestat go to Discount Giles' office, and they're like, I'm a vampire now, and he's like...
Yeah, he's like, he makes her a vampire because he didn't want her to
sorry. He makes her a vampire.
Yeah.
They go to David. David's like, I'm scared of you. And they're like, here's some journals.
Yeah.
And then Marius shows up, and he's like, hey, David, let's be best friends.
Basically.
And David's like, all right.
And then cut to credits, essentially.
No, and then we get... Lestat and Jesse walking hand in hand down a very busy street, and everybody else.
Well, it's a bridge in London, right?
Yeah, everybody else is sped up, and they're like walking slow because it's
through the ages they're walking.
It's like that Alanis Morissette video where she's walking naked down the street.
Right.
Yeah. Where she's like, "How about all these dangling carrots?" It's got a really weird lyric. So she went to.
In a Alanis Morissette song?
No, because like in Jagged Little Pill, she was mad, and that was cool. But then her follow up, like after she got divorced after Ryan Reynolds, she went to India, and then she wrote a bunch of weird shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that's Queen of the Damned.
That's Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
The Devon version.
The Devon version. For me, I texted Devon after we were talking about the movie. I was like, this movie, there's a bad movie that's in the way of a sweet new metal musical.
Basically, yeah. And Tony watched it for the first time with me. He's like, I don't understand any of the characters' motivations.
Yeah, there's no understanding. Yeah, so famously, they took the Vampire Lestat book, the Queen of the Damned book, and mashed them together, and for some reason took out the two things that made the books really good. Mm-hmm. And then
what made the books good?
Well, in the Vampire Lestat, it's about Lestat's life, a la Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah.
And so you actually get his backstory, which again, and this I haven't read them in a while, but I'm pretty sure, because Lestat always harps about how he was never given a choice about being a vampire. Literally, like, a vampire breaks into his house at Living Court and, like, just makes him a vampire. And then, like, dies. Or at least leaves. Like, I'm trying to remember. I don't think Marius was a character.
I'm sorry, but that's the funniest image.
Yeah, no, like,
I'm picturing, like, Marius jumping through the window.
Yeah. Yeah. He, like, turns into a vampire and basically either dies or leaves and never shows up again. And I don't even think he's in Queen of the Damned. Like...
Weird.
Yeah, and then what made Queen of the Damned so great, it was, of course, you get all the backstory, is that Akasha literally is the first vampire because she was like a spiritual queen and then was down in this basement trying to appease like a spirit, and then her people
basement.
Yeah, in like some basement in Egypt or whatever, and then her people felt that she was like communing too much with it and everything, and then like stabbed her a bunch, and then the demon possesses her body, and then became essentially like she became the first vampire from there.
Oh,
and then you get like these two very unique different stories, because eventually she does show up in the modern world and there's some stuff that goes on. Sort of it's more explained. So you get more context and understanding, and there's a better story as to why
she belly dances and then rips a guy's heart out.
Yeah, as to why Lestat and some of these other vampires, you get who they are instead of just like, oh, hey, there's a guy. and because in that scene, one of them is supposed to be Armand.
Oh, no.
Which I was like, he's in the book.
Is that Marius? Do you think?
No, it's the blonde guy.
Wait.
He's supposed to be Armand.
What?
Yeah, because I was like, what?
God.
He's in Queen of the
blonde.
Damned. Yeah, he's in Queen of the Damned, and there's context and reasons, and they get together and actually fight Akasha.
Huh.
So just murder humanity, essentially.
Yeah, but this is so much better.
Yeah, this has some sweet new metal.
It's funny because the first time I watched it, I liked that movie so much.
I saw it in theater.
And it's because I was 16 and it was all like the dark gothy music that I liked, and it was like the height of kind of like alternative fashion.
Sure.
With some of I will admit I still wear some of that shit she wears.
Her jacket, that red one with like all the rhinestones, the stones on it and everything, just like her library jacket. It's so
that's
crazy.
Amazing. Also, her full length a coat with the fucking hood that's like lined with fur. I would wear the shit out of that. Yeah. No, it's so stupid, but I would totally wear that because I'm at that time. Right?
That is definitely my main problem with the movie, is that, and again, it's not Stuart Townsend. I liked him as Lestat, and even Anne Rice did before she met him before they made the movie. She was like, oh yeah, he'll do a really good job. Yeah. And I think he could do a really good job given a better movie.
I still think he did a good job.
Oh sure, but it was just kind of like, because I remember when I watched it in theater, I was so disappointed in his Lestat because he was like I'm tortured and I'm eternity and
yeah, you're not Brad Pitt. Actually, I thought.
But he didn't play it like Tom Cruise, where he was loving being a vampire.
Yeah. No, but going into it, like I was having a fuzzy memory. Pardon me, and I thought Brad Pitt was Lestat.
Oh really?
And that Tom Cruise was Louis.
Right.
Because that's the character that Lestat is.
Yes.
He's Louis in, Yeah.
So that was my problem with his performance, but I think it was the material he was given, right? Like.
Yeah, but those songs.
Well.
They're so good.
And well, I don't know if you were aware of this, of course.
It's like Korn did some of them?
It's Jonathan Davis of Korn actually did all the singing Lestat ever did in the movie.
Oh my god, he's got such a sexy voice.
But because he was actually supposed to record more for the entire soundtrack, so they had Marilyn Manson, of course, Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, David Draymond of Disturbed,
that's sad.
Wayne Static of Static X, and Jay Gordon of Orgy did songs that Jonathan Davis wrote but couldn't sing on the soundtrack because of contracts. And then the crazy thing is that the soundtrack is like in the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's what's so weird. Like when I was watching it this time, that's what I was saying. It's like this new metal musical because it's like all of a sudden there's a Marilyn Manson song playing and there's some crazy shit going on, and I was like, this is just insane.
It was like all the music that I listened to in high school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, the music is good. It's just like there's this bad movie there.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and like, so there's like music videos in it.
Yeah.
And they're definitely representative of the music videos of the time.
Yeah.
Which means they're dated. It was, I don't know. it's a bad movie.
Yes.
It's like when you compare it to Interview with a Vampire, it's a poorly constructed movie.
Sure.
And
it's like a stain on the name of the Vampire Chronicles.
Yeah, and Interview with a Vampire is a better movie.
Yeah.
But I enjoy watching Queen of the Damned.
Sure.
Also, speaking of like movies going through phases and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is post-Matrix.
Oh, no, I know. I was going to bring it up.
Post-Matrix, post-Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So we had some of the best, worst wire foo ever.
Oh, God, it's terrible.
There was no, like, let's use this sparingly. It was like, let's use all of it.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, the blurred motion for them moving fast is so dated and terrible. And even for the time is terrible. Like, I don't know, like, it made more sense in Interview with the Vampire where they just cut quickly and it was like, oh, he's there. They do it in the beginning of the movie. Where he's like, he's there and he turns something on and then he's like behind them all and they're like, oh, and it was like, there was no blur effect and it worked 100%.
It was perfect, in the crypt, right? When they're playing,
and then
which apparently their beautiful music is what woke him up, which is just like, gun to the head. Anyways.
You're digging some corn, alright?
Yeah. Oh, what's this? Corn?
Yeah. Freak on a leash, man.
Yeah.
But, then later, every time there's a fast movement, quote unquote,
you get the blur.
It's a blur effect, and it's terrible.
And
a sound effect where it's like...
And then every fight scene, they're on wires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even Lestat flies around a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
Which that was never established, that he could fly.
He flew in Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, I guess, they floated. They didn't really, like, fly.
Yeah, he's Superman.
Yeah, him and Marius are, like, Supermaning around.
Yeah. Whee!
Yeah. Like you said, they just floated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when he slept a lot, he
gained
learned
flight powers.
He was just reading how to fly.
Yeah. They did do a mirrored scene where, because of course Santiago does a scene in Interview with the Vampire where he dances up onto the bridge, and then in this movie he crawls up the wall with those two groupies.
Oh my god, that scene is so...
Because everyone still thinks he's not a vampire.
Yeah.
So they're all like,
know.
He's playing it up, and then they're all being flirty with him, and then
they're like, I hear he like keeps people in the basement, and he gives you everything you want. All you have to do is let him suck on your neck.
Yeah.
So watching that scene now.
Plus, there's Marilyn Manson music playing. At the same time.
It was like, I don't know for you, but for me it was painfully dated after all this Me Too stuff.
Oh, sure.
Being like, they just wouldn't make this now. Is what I kept thinking. I'm like, oh man, it's so kind of Harvey Weinstein-y, but like it's okay because he's sexy Stuart Townsend. I think I don't know how this works anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I know, it made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
Not because of, just because of that, right?
Oh, okay, fair enough. Not just because of the bad filmmaking.
It was also terrible filmmaking.
Yeah.
I got past it because Stuart Townsend is sexy.
Right.
And I like the music. So what worked on me when I was 16 works on me when I'm 33.
No, and that's what I'm saying. There's some cool, almost music vignettes that are, good, and then you get some bad exposition and some bad dialogue, and then there's another cool music vignette, and you're like, yeah! And then it's some bad dialogue again.
And, like Tony was saying, none of the characters had any specific motivation.
Yeah, there's no goals, there's no motivation.
Other than, I'm going to do this thing because I said I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Lestat was he's like, I'm tired of hiding and being a vampire, let's be cool and in the open.
Yeah, and he's the most fleshed out all of them.
Yeah.
Jesse's like, I read your journal, so I'm in love with you.
Yeah, they do a small flashback with her aunt, and then because she does come from a vampire family, her aunt raised her briefly, and then she got thrown away, and then she became a secret librarian. It's just, you can understand the obsession and wanting to live in that world, fine. Okay. But it's not fleshed out at all.
Yeah, no.
That's me literally, retconning everything.
And I like this actress in Hot One American Summer.
Right.
And their sequels that they did on Netflix.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't think she was committed to the role at all.
Right.
A lot of times she's just like, Lestat, I love you. Make me a vampire.
Yeah.
And he's like, I cannot. And she's like, but I want to be one.
Is she like British?
Nope.
Okay.
She's American.
She's American. Okay. No, I was gonna say because sometimes when British people try to hide their accent, it can sound weird, or vice versa. Of course, when.
Sorry, I just mean she sounds flat.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
She doesn't sound weird. She just sounds like they're like, read this line. She's like, okay, vampires.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Whereas I don't know, Stuart Townsend is almost like overacting a little bit.
No, that's what I mean. His performance is really good.
Yeah.
It's just the material he was given was not very good.
Yeah. And Aaliyah does a pretty good job. She looks great.
Yes.
But it is a little bit like, acting is not my main career.
Yeah, well, this was like, I think her second movie only.
Yeah, because she did Jet Li one, right?
Yeah, Romeo Must Die.
I liked that movie.
Yeah, me too.
That was really good.
Yeah, and so she was developing as an actress, unfortunately, and then she was actually the first person cast for the movie. There was a couple other rumored names, but then she was the first person cast, and she was like super hyped about being in the role.
Cool, that's awesome.
And I do like how they do with her voice. They give her like that reverb effect and stuff like that, so it just doesn't sound normal.
Yeah, no,
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And like you said, her costume looked great and her makeup looked great. And
I think if I could critique one thing, to give it a little bit more gravitas, I would have made her slightly older.
Well, she's immortal.
Yeah, but even like, you know how like, because you have a human brain, right?
Yeah.
So, but like the aunt who's slightly older seems like she would be like a more ancient vampire.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
To me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still liked her, and she's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I already mentioned that part about the rights thing. That's basically why I just turned into such a cluster screw. Yeah. Because Anne Rice, when they were developing the movie, and like I said, she met Stuart Townsend, she asked the studio, she was like, no, don't do it like this. Make just the Vampire Lestat. Make the second book. Yeah. And then they didn't, for whatever reason. I guess maybe because they didn't want to just do like a pure male lead thing, or they didn't want to. I don't know the logic. I'm not there.
I think they probably wanted to use music. They probably had some sort of deal worked out.
I wonder, because Warner Brothers is the people who owned it, and they have their own record arm. So they probably had all this music they could add access to without having to pay extra or something. Yeah. And again, at the time, that music was very popular, and so they were like, oh, we can maybe get in on this and popularize it. But I don't know, if it's like, if you're going to do it that way, then jettison the whole Vampire Lestat backstory, and then just have it take place with the Queen of the Damned story. Yeah. And then just, if you gotta do a couple flashbacks, you just do a small flashback. Don't do a whole third chunk of the movie about this character, and then you could flesh out the entirety of the other thing, and then why do a mismatch that just doesn't work?
Or why not just like not... Here's what I think. I think they probably had a script that was not... Like, no, they probably had a script lying around that was generic vampire movie. Right. Where a vampire becomes a rock star. Again? And then they're like, oh shit, our rights are expiring, and for whatever reason we haven't made anything, so let's put this brand onto this script and shoehorn in some details from these two books.
Possible.
But I think that kind of thing happens a lot, right?
I mean, it's entirely possible. Yeah, like, because... Yeah, if you want to do the Queen of the Damned story, just do the Queen of the Damned story. Yeah. And it's cool. You got Aaliyah. She looks the part.
That's probably what they had to do. They're like, oh, we have another script lying around. Let's use that.
Yeah, maybe. I guess we could maybe look it up, because the guy who wrote it, Scott Abbott, wrote the screenplay. No, like another time. I don't mean like now.
Right now.
Yeah. A guy.
Technical difficulties because I slammed my hands down on the keyboard. Yeah. What were you saying, Dan?
I was saying that it was directed by Michael Reimer, then the screenplay by one Scott Abbott.
What did Michael Reimer also do?
I don't know. I didn't bother looking up, because I was like, he made Queen of the Damned. Yeah. But again, it could have been like, the studio, and they're like, make the movie, yo. Yeah. And he's
like, $20 is $20.
Yeah, works, right? But it was interesting. Josh Hartnett, Heath Ledger, and Wes Bentley were all considered to replace Tom Cruise as Lestat after he declined, because they did ask him to come back, and he said no. And they asked Brad Pitt to come back, and he also said no.
They were going to put Louis in it?
Yeah, well, Louis in The Queen of the Damned. They all are. And that's why I was saying that, because I was like, what were they going to do about Armand? And then how there was an Armand character, he just wasn't named. Like, no one ever said, hey, Armand, go fight it, or,
It would have been really funny, though, if Antonio Banderas came back for it. I mean, later he did do,
Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
Puss in Boots.
Oh.
No, it's got nothing to do with that, but it was a terrible movie, right? So at that point, if it had been like 10 years into his future, he might have done it.
Right. Sorry. I thought you meant, I was like, what? He did another vampire role?
Yeah, as a cat.
As a cat.
He was a cat.
Well, and the budget for this one was $35 million estimated, so it was even less. They spent less, so this is what this leads to, like, they were just cobbling this movie together. They spent less money than they did with Interview with the Vampire.
Nice.
And they only made worldwide $45.4 million.
It looks like Michael Reimer did a lot of TV directing.
Oh, good for him. Well, and I was going to say, that Stuart Townsend does a lot of TV stuff now.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Michael Reimer has also directed episodes of Hannibal, Jessica Jones,
really,
The Man in High Castle, and American Horror Story.
Oh, there you go. So
among other stuff.
He's good at that. Actually, almost makes sense because TV has a very set style.
It feels like a really long TV episode.
Yeah, no, that makes actually a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Well, no, good for him. Still working.
Yeah. And he wrote an episode of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, I enjoy the Battlestar. So yeah, I don't know. This movie is a conundrum in the sense that it's like, would I recommend people watch this movie? I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. It's like, it's not good, is what I'll tell people.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not good, but it's enjoyable enough to watch. Like, until the end where it gets a little muddled and then just kind of ends.
Yeah.
But like the middle part is, there's some okay stuff in there.
That's the thing. I find it really enjoyable, but I know it's not good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like even like the scene in the flashback when he's playing the violin or the fiddle. I assume it's a violin though.
Yeah.
With the girl, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Some neat stuff. And
and then you get some terrible CG of him playing too fast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's difficult. But so I would say yes, but it's not good.
Vampire effects are better. Like their teeth look better and their contacts look better.
Yeah, but that's just progression of makeup effects, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd recommend it to somebody.
Yeah. Like that's what it is. It's like,
if I was talking to another person who just seems to like skinny white goth guys that wear pleather pants and
be like, dude,
I'd be like, I got the movie for you.
Have you seen this? Have you seen this?
Or somebody else who's a really big fan of like early 2000s alt rock.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's who I'd recommend this movie to.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I don't know, do you have any other thoughts about Queen of the Damned?
It's not in my top 3 vampire movies.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I did want to bring up some other vampire movies talking about some. So Well, here's like, I just put together like a list of like other vampire movies I do enjoy and would actually recommend people watching.
Okay.
Blade 1 and 2. Of course, Blade from 98.
Yeah, but not Blade 3 because that was a train wreck.
It has challenges.
Train wreck.
Yeah, Blade 1 and 2 though for sure are very enjoyable.
Sure. Yeah.
I remember when Blade 1 came out, how just like almost sleeper hit as shit was. Like people were what? And then it was just like, blam, Blade, son. The Lost Boys from 87.
I haven't seen it.
It's got Kiefer Sutherland and like the Doors soundtrack, and the main guy either just full on looks like Jim Morrison or is him. I'm not 100%. I don't think it is him. It just looks like him.
Yeah. Okay.
It's classic. 30 Days of Night I do enjoy from 2007. It gets a lot of crap, but I actually do enjoy it still.
It's not a traditional vampire movie, so it's probably like it's a lot of crap. And I forgot that it was vampires. I thought it was zombies.
Well,
I know it is vampires.
I thought it got a lot of crap because it deviates from the comics.
Oh, from the comics.
And what have you, which I've read the comics and watched the movie. I don't know, it's Josh Hartnett. I do enjoy it, so.
The sequel wasn't very good, though.
I definitely didn't see the sequel.
31 Days of Night.
Oh.
Or 32 Days of Night.
Oh, really?
Like that, yeah.
I definitely didn't see that, unfortunately.
Okay.
Or fortunately, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned earlier, Bram Stoker's Dracula. 1992. Okay, we got to talk about this. It's got Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, what's his name? Gary Ewells or Princess Bride?
Oh, Ellis.
Ellis, yeah, sorry.
Carrie Ellis.
Carrie Ellis, yeah. I always
also in Twister.
I also, don't remember.
He's in that movie?
Bill Paxton, I think, no, it's not Bill Paxton, but it's Bill Paxton X guy is in it.
Yeah.
And then, he is in it. He's one of the suitors. And,
yeah.
And I don't know, this movie, it's like Anthony Hopkins of course plays Van Helsing.
Yeah.
And there's so much bad acting and overacting, but Gary Oldman is solid the entire movie.
Oh, he is so good and worth watching it for that.
Absolutely.
They do a weird thing with the girls in it where they're like, let's make them super hypersexual for some reason.
Well, like
that one girl, right?
Well, and that's because like witches and vampirism. There was about a sexual freedom, really.
Yeah, but it was still metaphors. Like the way they did it was weird.
Oh yeah.
There's so many bad English accents in this movie. Like, I know Keanu Reeves gets a lot of shit, but like Winona Ryder.
Yeah, she's doing any better.
Awful.
Yeah, she's not nailing it.
I'm back. Oh, I can't even do it.
And I like how Anthony Hopkins doesn't really even attempt one. He just talks.
Yeah.
And he is English.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of just doing his own thing,
He's just Anthony Hopkins.
He's just Anthony Hopkins.
He got his paycheck and left.
No, but he does some great overacting in some scenes and everything. And Gary Oldman's costumes are amazing. And
he looks so hot in that.
Actually, and Monica Bellucci plays one of the 3 vampires, as Vampire Brides.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, I recommend people watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. I love the soundtrack. The movie is a horrible nightmare, but it's so good.
Who directed that?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, it's a competent director.
Yeah, super competent director.
Also, I love when you're traveling in that movie because they do the background of the map.
The map. The line. The Indiana Jones line. So watch that movie. It's great. From Dusk Till Dawn.
I didn't see that.
It's so good because it's like
that's a sexy Salma Hayek dance, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like basically it's like Predator and Alien, where it's like you think it's one movie and then bam, vampire movie.
Nice.
And that's from 1996.
Yeah.
Of course, What We Do in the Shadows, which Devin mentioned earlier. We did a commentary track on it previously.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
That was not in my list, but
Why isn't it?
I thought about putting it on there because it's pretty good.
That was a terrible. Well, no, it was good, but it's like. It's slapsticky, but it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and these last two, especially I Am Legend.
What about the Van Helsing movie? Did you include that?
I'm on the fence about the Van Helsing movie.
Dracula's the bad guy.
Dracula is the bad guy. And
his brides are in it. There's like 4 vampires in that movie. And all the baby vampires that die.
That's where it gets muddled in the movie to me. I enjoy a lot about that movie, except for maybe that whole plot line. But
there's a lot I enjoy about that movie too.
Yeah.
The kind of like, I know it's the whole point, but the whole like Van Helsing being a werewolf and like their eternal struggle bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty bullshit.
It was bullshit.
Yes.
I do like that the actor that played Faramir plays a Weasley little monk.
Yeah, no, he's great.
He's great. And what's her name?
Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Runs in the highest stiletto pumps.
Yeah.
Like if you wanna rag on fucking Jurassic Park, you start with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and she's all badass gypsy woman fighting and shooting and everything.
Yeah. She's wearing like the corseted corset.
Corseted corset going with the jacket and everything.
Yeah. No, she looks like incredible.
Yeah.
She looks like she has the highest end bagged vampire hunter costume you could get at Spirit of Halloween.
Yes. I didn't put Van Helsing, but I thought about it. And
did you put?
I was gonna say Underworld, of course, is the first one. I've seen the second one, but I don't even remember seeing any of them more. No, I did see the one that takes place in the past that's not with her in it.
Okay, I didn't see that one. That one's number 3, but I did see number 4.
Right. I didn't see that one.
That movie is bad.
Yes, no.
There's like fucking...
There shouldn't have even been any more sequels. Like, it should have just ended after the first one. Not saying...
I didn't mind the second one.
I can't remember the second one.
I think... Is it the first one or the second one Where all the old vampires get killed on the train.
That must be the second one because because the old vampire shows up back. That's in the second one, isn't it?
Bill Nighy.
No, not Bill Nighy. The older guy.
Okay, Bill Nighy dies in the first one.
Dies in the first one, yeah.
But the train full of like important vampires.
Yeah, when does that happen?
Is that the first one or the second one? And they all get killed.
They all get killed.
I can't remember the plot.
Yeah, no, I can't. I think the second one is when like the original vampire shows up again, and it's like it's an old man, and he's all like, "I'm trying to take over everybody," and then she fights him at the end, right? And then he's like, "Cause you're the new or whatever." Yeah, I can't remember.
You're the new special.
Yeah, you're the new special because she's awesome. But again, she's running around in a badass outfit and wearing her leathers,
and that's the
blue-eyed ones. Yeah, exactly.
Man, the fourth one is so bad. There's like weird elf-looking Viking vampires, and like the plot makes no sense.
Yeah, the third one was kind of neat. That I know because she wasn't in it, and it made more sense that she wasn't in it to me. But then people were like, "No, it doesn't make sense because it was about like the werewolves getting subjugated."
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And it was about like his almost like his previous daughter before Celine, and like because she falls in love with like she tries to help him, and then he ends up having to kill her. Yeah, and I was like, that all made perfect sense. Yeah. So I don't know why people were all down about it, but anyway, back to the list here. I got I Am Legend down there.
She's called she picks like a super.
Sorry, I can't remember that. Yeah, I Am Legend, the newest one, 2007. But there was an older one, which I unfortunately still haven't seen. But they're not touted as being vampires, but in the original book they are, and I think in the original movie they are.
Right.
These ones, they're just sort of like a plague thing that can only come out at night. It's not really explained.
Yeah.
But they're pretty much vampires. And then Daybreakers was pretty interesting. I thought it was a neat twist on the vampire formula.
Daybreakers?
It's the one with Ethan Hawke, and then like the world is essentially vampires, and then it's about like blood banks, and then they're running low on like human blood supply.
Oh.
And then there's like basically something gets tainted, and then like a bunch of people start turning into like weird crazy vampires, but there's some humans that are trying to research.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, there's some humans, and they managed to research and find a cure for vampirism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like involves like using the sun and like an injection or something like that, and something crazy. And I've only seen it like the one time, so I'm not.
Yeah, I think I've only seen that once too.
Yeah, but that was 2009, and it was just a neat twist on the formula where it wasn't like, oh, we're hunting them down, or where it was like, no, everyone's vampires, and you're like, oh shit. Yeah. So like that's the start of the movie. And again, I think that one was based off of a book or something, or like a comic.
I'm trying to think if you missed any. Oh, there's Only Lovers Left Alive, which was a great movie.
Oh, I was gonna say I've heard of two recently that I have not seen. One's called Thirst, and that was more modern. I think it was like a Korean-made vampire movie. It's supposed to be pretty good. And there's another one actually made by Neil Jordan called Byzantium, I think it is, and it's about a vampire living with like her mom, or like the vampire is a prostitute, and she like can't like escape that world or whatever kind of thing. Apparently it's actually really it's got all sorts of great reviews, and I was like, cool. I haven't seen it, but it's the same director who made Interview with the Vampire. he came back to it. I think, and that's more modern. Again, it's like 2012 or 2014 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Only Lovers Left Alive was like fairly recent too, like 2012 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That was Kate Beckinsale and Tom Hiddleston.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say
no, not Kate
Blanchett.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Because I was gonna say she did another vampire thing.
Yeah, Galadriel and Loki.
Ah.
Yeah.
No, it's
he's really sexy. If you want to watch a pale white guy in leather pants with no shirt and long hair, you could also watch that movie.
Right. I've seen a screenshot, I think, of this movie.
He looks heroin chic in this movie.
Right. I really think you're going to tell me about that.
So hot. Yeah, so that was a good one. And then what other vampire movies are there? There's I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's called Nosferatu.
Obviously, the original Nosferatu, and then there's the one with Willem Dafoe, Shadow of the Vampire, that they did more.
What? Oh, is that maybe that's what I'm thinking of, where they're filming Nosferatu? Is that one?
I think that's that one. Yeah.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, it's like John Malkovich, I think, and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah. That was the one. Yes. That one was amazing.
Yeah. I heard that one was really good as well.
Yeah, and of course it's like all the old Bela Lugosi movies and stuff like that too. Yeah,
like the original Nosferatu is still like really highly rated and like regarded as a great vampire movie and stuff like that.
He's all like.
Yeah, what was interesting.
Oh, and Twilight.
That's what I was gonna say. I looked at a top 10 list of top money making vampire movies.
Yeah.
Of course, all the Twilights were in the top. Like
four of them?
I thought there was like 6 Twilight movies.
No, because it's a trilogy, but then they split the last book up into two.
Okay, yes. All 4 of them were on that list.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, Interview with a Vampire was in the 10th spot.
Oh, nice.
Despite being 20 years old. And 30 years old at this point with that.
What else was in there? Like Underworld? The first one?
I actually honestly don't remember because it was all just like Twilight. And I was like, where's not Twilight?
Did you watch any of the Twilights?
No.
Okay. So, when the first Twilight came out,
yes,
I was forced to go see it.
Right.
And
against your will.
Against my will. No, it was. Yeah. I didn't want to see it. I'm like, this looks so stupid. And I remember walking out of the theater and being like, this is the first time I've seen a movie where I didn't like anything. Like,
I think I remember we've talked about it, yeah.
The story was bad.
Sure.
The dialogue was bad. The acting was bad. The choice of actors was bad.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was, like, bad. The special effects were bad. The cinematography was nothing special.
Yeah, the actors were on screen and it was in focus.
Yeah, so out of everything, the cinematography was definitely the best thing about Twilight. Yeah, I just remember I didn't like any of it. And then I caught, like, I haven't watched any of the other ones, like, beginning to end, but I've caught them on TV and, like, I'm too lazy to change the channel or whatever.
Right.
So, as far as I can tell, it never got any better.
Sure, it was making money. Why change it?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And the Twilight ending is weird. Because she has a baby. She's a vampire. No, she has a baby. She almost dies. It makes her a vampire.
Oh. To save her life or whatever?
To save her life.
Right. Well,
baby's half vampire because it's vampire sperm.
Right. Oh, so she ends up with the vampire, not with the werewolf, right?
Yeah.
There's the 2 of them?
But then the werewolf
okay.
is like imprint on the baby, which I don't know what that means, but it's a big deal because he discovers that the baby is his, like, life mate.
So he's going to marry the
And that's why he was attracted to Bella the whole time. Is because he was going to marry her baby. It's really fucking weird.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
So, no. So don't see that movie.
So
watch any of those other movies we talked about.
Yeah. Basically, any other movie but Twilight.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like vampire books, like that trilogy that I've talked about a few times. The Discovery of Witches trilogy.
Yes.
That has vampires in it, and they're cool in that.
Well, and like I said, I actually really do enjoy the first 3 books of the Vampire Chronicles, and I highly recommend people read them.
Yeah, but have you read Lestat and the World of Atlantis?
No, I have not.
Because I kind of want to for the title.
Yeah, no.
I'm like, oh, it's going to be so bad.
Yeah. There's a book called, apparently, The Passage that sounds like it's like is it a vampire thing, or maybe it's a post-apocalyptic thing? No, I think it's a vampire thing, where again, it takes place in like the future, and it's like vamps.
Future vampire?
Yeah, have taken over and pockets of humanity trying to survive or something like that. But I'm trying to think of other vampire books I've read. I don't think I've read any other vampire books in all honesty.
I've got the corner on paranormal romance instead.
No, it's just not just that, but I just mean in general, like, what else is there?
I read the Kelly Osbourne Otherworld series has vampires, but none of the actual characters that get a book devoted to them are vampires.
Right.
So they're always kind of side characters.
Maybe she just felt like she didn't want to dip in there because it was pretty played out during the Twilight times.
Although it was interesting because she had, like, one of the vampires was Asian. Her name was Zoe, and she was a lesbian. So that's something. She threw some diversity. Yeah. She took all her diversity out of that bag and put it in one character.
Nice.
Yeah. And they drink wine in it, but they can't, and drink blood.
Right.
Too, because they're vampires. But they can, like, they can kill one person a month and be fine, kind of thing. Yeah.
They don't have to chaw every night.
No, they don't have to hunt all the time.
Right.
But they did have a weird plot line with Jack the Ripper. Never mind, I'm not talking about this.
Yeah, no,
it's really stupid, but I like them.
Yeah. I don't know, So...
Oh, and vampires in the Dresden Files. They're good.
Sure, yeah.
White court, red court.
Yeah. No,
fight.
Yeah, basically. Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think your favorite vampire movie is?
Oh,
If you had to pick just one.
Jeez, I don't even know. It's tough.
I think mine's What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows?
But I like it because it references other vampire movies. So,
sure, and like vampire lore and stuff.
You do need that like baseline to enjoy the movie.
Well, and I think it's an excellent movie. There's no doubt about it. So that's obviously plus in its favor.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think my favorite one of all time.
Queen of the Damned.
Is that not Queen of the Damned? It would have to, like, I think, like, Interview with a Vampire, or with the Vampire, is pretty high up on the list. It'd be my top 3. And I think, sadly, Bram Stoker's Dracula would also be in that top 3.
Get out of my house.
It's so good. It's so amazing. I don't know, I've always highly recommended people watch The Lost Boys. I always think
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's, especially the first 3/4 of the movie, it gets kind of weird. Or schlocky because it's got the Corey Feldman and like the Corys in there, and then they're vampire hunters, and then they start trying to fight the back and do this thing. It's not very good. But Kiefer Sutherland and them are all hilarious. It's all like they're all 80s glammed out. Yes. It's so hilarious.
Nice.
But I would probably agree that What We Do in the Shadows is probably in the top number 1 spot.
Yeah, it's the best one.
Yeah, because it was a cool take again on it, and like a nice twist, but it was still like a vampire movie.
Yeah, and it references all kinds of vampires. Yeah.
So I definitely would agree. It was really well made.
Yeah, I think that would be my top spot.
Yeah.
I'd probably put Underworld up there.
I'd say Underworld would be my top 5.
Yeah.
Like maybe top 5 to top 10. It's Underworld's in there for sure.
Yeah. And then, I don't know what the third...
Blade would be in there.
Oh yeah, Blade.
Blade's so good.
Blade is so good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Blade, go watch Blade.
I mean, even though there's definitely some dated 90s-ness note going on in it, it's still pretty sweet.
It transcends time.
Stephen Dorff's character, Deacon Frost.
Oh my god.
What a name.
Stephen Dorff's character is so hot in that movie. And the best part is when he's out in the sun in that one part, he's like, I just put on a lot of sunscreen.
Yeah. Sunblock.
Sunblock, yeah. Like,
where in the other scene they're wearing like full leathers and motorcycle helmets, which makes perfect sense.
But he's just like out in some like...
Well, he's standing kind of in the shade.
SPF 100.
Yeah, basically.
And the shade was
it's special vampire sunblock they developed. SPF 10,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stephen Dorff is so hot though.
Yeah. Good time.
In that movie.
Yeah, well, and the movie has some really cool world building and some cool ideas, and of course
Daywalkers. Yeah,
walking around, daywalking it up.
Some great techno.
Yeah. Oh man, so dated.
Doesn't he fight things with a sword too?
Oh
right? Yeah.
He sword fights.
Yeah. With a katana.
No, it's just a straight edge blade.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
In my brain, it's a katana.
Sure. It was basically a katana because he's wearing a big leather trench coat. Yeah. Basically.
So vampires, spooky.
Yeah. Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
October.
Yeah.
Just on a side note, October, spooky things. I'm reading a really good graphic novel right now called Lock and Key, which is kind of...
I've read Lock and Key.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
I'm only partway through the first one, but I'm enjoying it so far.
No,
I was gonna recommend people read it.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, it's written by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son.
Oh.
He also wrote Horns.
I think I read like half of it.
Okay.
Like, because I have it all.
Oh, yeah.
And then I read like half of it, and I was like, okay, I just need a break here.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of dark, right?
Well, it wasn't that. I was the first 2 or 3 volumes are really good.
Okay.
Super solid. And then it kind of was starting to dip, and I was like, I'm just going to move on. So.
Yeah, Joe Hill writes some pretty dark stuff.
Sure.
In like Horns, there's like a good 2 chapters that are almost impossible to read because it's like, you're like, is Joe Hill a sociopath?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it was interesting, just to quickly, before you wrap up with the interview with the vampire, listening to the director's commentary talking about some of the scenes, especially like the one with the 2 prostitutes, and so he's like, oh man, this was like intense to shoot, and it took us a long time, and etc. So it was like, it wasn't just difficulties, there was difficulties in intensity and darkness and much of the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, that makes sense though. You gotta channel these dark things to create the dark movies and the dark comics.
Yes.
But yeah, Lock and Key's some good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so if you guys want to read a scary graphic novel, Lock and Key. You can find us on the web at tomeofuselessness.com or on Instagram at Tome of Uselessness with little underscores in between the words.
Perfect.
And that's it, right? We're not on anything else. We are on Twitter, but I don't post, so don't check us out.
Happy Halloween and thanks for listening.
Bye!